It's here.
All right, great. Good evening, everybody. I apologize for us being just a couple minutes late. We were waiting for a board member. We do have enough for a quorum, so we can go forward and hopefully we get our last board member. So that's the reason for the delay. Before I get going here, I have to read something into the record to allow us to do this virtually. And it goes as follows. This meeting is being held virtually pursuant to New York State legislation S 50001/A4001, which suspended certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow a municipal board to convene meetings during the current pandemic via video conferencing and or telephone conferencing. New York legislation S 50001/A4001 has been recently extended until March 14th of 2020. And I guess I'll say, oh, hello, Richard. I'll tell everybody that I don't know that this will be the last virtual meeting, but it might be. We might be going live. We'll stay tuned. As the numbers go down, hopefully we'll go back to live. But right now we're still virtual and we're still authorized to do so. And with that, I welcome everybody to the Town of Rhinebeck Virtual Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for February 16th, 2022. And did everybody have a chance to take a look at, this is the board members, have a chance to take a look at the meeting minutes for January 19th, 2022?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, concerns, or comments?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, I will make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented for the meeting of January 19th, 2022. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay, and just for the record, I'll do a roll call. We have Tim Allenbrook.
Here.
Catherine Clark.
Yes.
Richard.
Here.
And Tim Econopoli.
Present.
Present. All right. And I am present. We were all present. That's good. All right. The first matter that's on is the Daniels case. And is there somebody here? Let me guess. Donna Daniels?
Yes, and Robert is with me as well. Nice to meet you.
Okay. Nice to meet you too. And first, before we get going on, I did want to say that I appreciate the new application in the sense that you guys did augment what you gave to us previously with the renderings. And I appreciated that. So it's definitely a better application than the first time around, and those renderings are very useful. So I just wanted to say thank you on that. But with that said, and this could be me, I am still having some problems with the numbers, and I think Jim also. We're trying to figure out exactly what the square footage of the house is going to be, and there's different numbers, or they've changed, or I'm not sure. So I want to, before we can accept this, I need to have rock solid concrete numbers. And I was hoping you guys can provide that. So
Sure.
That's my first comment.
Okay. Would you like me, can I address that when we get to that, or?
Well, can
Can I
you just
give
tell
you
me
a-
right now how big the house is going to be? Because I mean, that's the key thing. We need to know.
2,512 feet, 2,512 feet.
Okay. And is that, I mean, I didn't see that anywhere in the application. I could have missed it. So I'm not saying it's not
Yeah,
there.
I think you might have missed it. First page, or second page, number 3. We have the gross floor area is very close to the allowable. The principal structure has an area of 2,512 feet. This represents 9% overage of the 2,300 allowed.
Where is that on page 3? I see it says floor area gross.
So actually it says page 4 on the application, but that's because the first 2 pages are instructions, I think. It's the second page of the actual application at the bottom, item number 3.
Ah. Okay. So that's the square footage. All right.
Right. I appreciate that Jim is such an integral part of both boards. He was helpful and patient with our process, recognizing some variances and preparing what ultimately is the same information we provide to the planning board, to the zoning board. So the renderings were requested by the zoning board and initially commented on, and you instructed me when we spoke last to please come back with more information and to share with you everything that was given to the planning board. So we've done it.
Okay. And the 2,512 number, how does that impact any of the other variances that you need?
It does not. There is a limit on the accessory structure size.
Right, and
I
that's
think-
what I was
I think-
getting at.
Yeah, it's the accessory structure. Of course, you don't include the parking, the garage
Right.
parking areas. But
Correct.
that comes up to like, I think it's listed somewhere. It was requested, that answer, that discussion came up in planning as well. And the answer
Okay.
is, it's like 500 and something, but it falls below the allowable 25%.
Okay, and is that, and again, I apologize, I thought I had gone through this. We have a bunch of applications on. But is that also set forth in the application somewhere?
It is not, because it was not requested. The plans, however, are part of the application. So it could be, I guess I didn't feel the need to prove I didn't need a variance. I don't need a variance, so I didn't ask for one for the
Okay.
accessory structure. The one variance we are looking for, and you pointed out and said, hey, come back when you're ready, is the height of the
Right.
accessory structure.
So part of this, I'll take on responsibility for some of this, Robert, because we did discuss this at the planning board last week, and there were, again, some questions about the overall numbers, and I don't think we've seen these numbers at the planning board. So this needs to be, brought forward to them. But I just did the quick calculations, and it does seem that based on what you're proposing, you meet the requirements for the for 12569C5, the RCO. So
I would also note,
I think we're good on the numbers, Scott.
yeah, the planning board, in an effort to appease the planning board and the neighbors, we reduced the program and the size of the house. We initially submitted an application to the planning board and suggested it was 3,000 feet.
Right,
In fact, we didn't worry about it being exactly, not thinking it was a problem, but the owners responded by willingly reducing the size of the accessory structure, the house, and we feel like we've done a pretty diligent job responding to the planning board.
yeah, I think the initial was about 3,050 or something, and it's great that in response to the neighbors, you've made the adjustment, and that's what's caused some of this confusion. So, but it's a good thing responding to the neighbors and trying to make everybody happy, or as happy as they can be. So the height on this is going to be what?
The height of the building, the height of the accessory structure
Yes.
is 27 feet, 4 3/4 inches. And that's really born, it's not a design, that's a result of actually minimizing the height. The door, there's a garage, it needs a certain minimum height to get a standard overhead door in. There's a certain minimum structure height for the floor. There's a certain height to walk up some stairs and open a standard size door to access the second floor. And then there's a roof pitch, which we felt was stylistically, architecturally correct. We didn't want to make it look silly or flat. So I don't think it's steep. It's quite reasonable. And in total, it comes up to a little over 27 feet. And the,
Okay,
yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
well, and of course, the zoning regulations suggest or state shall be 20 feet. So therefore, it's a variance request.
Right. I just didn't see that number 27.
Oh, I should also note,
It,
27 feet may sound tall. 4 feet of the 27 feet are a result of us moving the garage back and south and closer to the property line in order to
Opie's frozen.
I think he
Doing
froze. I
so-
think
Yeah,
he
there
was
he goes.
saying,
He's back with
yeah,
us.
he's back. You froze for a second, Robert. I was going to fill
Sorry.
in your sentence, but you go.
one of the 27 feet, 4 feet of that is actually the grade difference from the garage floor down to grade as a result of having to move the garage to satisfy the neighbor's visual impact or impact to view of the river. So we could have made it closer to 23 feet,
Right.
but we did that. I think the neighbor's happy with that, but I'd prefer the neighbor tell you that.
Right. Well, they'll get a chance at the public hearing, and that's
Right.
what that's for. The 27 foot 4 3/4 inch. Is that anywhere in? And again, this could be me again. I apologize. I went through a bunch of these, but I didn't see that. I mean, I knew that the variance was. I knew it was over 20 feet. I didn't know how much it was, and I was looking for that number because we have to be precise in what we're giving.
It is not there. The planning board requested it. We will add it to the rendering and provide it to both planning board and zoning.
Okay. So we may have to just fiddle around with the application itself, which can be amended, before the public hearing notice goes out. So the public has to know exactly what the variance is for. And that's why we need to be precise. We're not just
Sure.
trying to be pains in the neck, but we need to tell them, the extent of the variance. And I think it is important for you to note at the public hearing, the reason for, the height being what it
Sure.
is. So, because that's a compelling argument. All right, so I had that. And then, Jim, did you have a concern about them potentially needing another variance of some sort?
Well, the fourth one was the size of the accessory structure, floors, the square footage, I should say, of the habitable space, which is we just covered.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I believe we're at the 3 variances that have been requested in the application. For gross floor area for the principal structure, orientation of the garage being in front of the principal structure, and the height of the accessory structure.
Okay, so we're just going to need, again, we can accept things and amend the application up until the time that the public notice goes out. So we're able to tell the public exactly what the variances are for. And that's why it was so important to get these numbers. So we need to have that done. Gretchen, when does a public notice go out on something like this? I know our next meeting is 3/16.
The proof of the mailing has to be in 10 days before. So everything has to be done at least 10 days before the public hearing.
Okay, so maybe in the next week or so, there can be an amendment so that this is cleaned up a little bit, so we know exactly what we're dealing with. Is that okay? And you understand why we need that?
Yes, very
Okay.
reasonable. We will take care of that.
Okay.
Jim, just, do we have any questions about the placement of the accessory dwelling, or were those numbers very clear? Because is that going to be required for the second variance?
Well, it's in the
No.
RCO. Yeah, it's in the
Yeah.
RCO. So the numbers are, that there's no real setbacks. It's subject to what's kind of in the neighborhood.
It's just that it's in front.
Right. And if
Okay.
everyone wants, I could put the renderings up that Robert, provided, just so you can see the visual. We do have those. So whatever you'd like to do. But yes, it's just the fact that it's in front of the principal structure,
Okay.
based on the road location.
Yeah, you can throw them up if you like,
Yeah,
just
that would be
the ones that are are probably the most important.
And if I could just add something to that. First of all, my husband apologizes he couldn't be here. He had a work commitment, but if you know the property, it actually has two addresses: 391 Rhinecliff Road, which I think is the one you see in, officially registered, and 8 Slate Dock. The town has requested, and we think it makes a lot of sense, that we officially change it to 8 Slate Dock, because their very good point is, if like an emergency vehicle needed to find us, 391 Rhinecliff Road isn't super helpful. If we had the 391 Rhinecliff Road address, the garage would not be in front of the house. It would be next to it, because it runs parallel to the road. But because we're now using Slate Dock, which goes this way rather than that way, it's technically in front.
Okay.
Further complicating that, just to add to it, it was a shared driveway with Henry Barron's. And secondly, our services still come across Henry Barron's property, electrical and water. So it's slightly complicated in that manner, but I think Henry's happy to have his own driveway, and the Daniels are happy to have their own driveway, and the Dutchess County emergency response units now have a proper and correct 8 Slate Dock Road address.
Yeah, and I think that's an important fact to know about the property. So if that can be included in some fashion too, the more background we have, the better we're able to understand why you need what you need and why it makes sense. So,
Sure. Thank you.
So that shows the garage and the upstairs accessory unit. And then there's another one, I think, is it 2? Let me see.
Next,
Yeah.
right, the planning board requested really just that first rendering, but we really thought quite logically they will beg to see more. So we said, let's just preemptively show them the house. We minimized the number of windows looking at or shedding light at what you see in the foreground, which is 4 Slate Dock Road, owned by David Barron's. And so you see the east side of our proposed house. And the next picture actually shows you kind of an overlay of what's there now.
Right.
It's our proposal that the new house actually be not as tall as the one that's there now.
Right. And just to get back to moving the garage, Robert, looking at this rendering here, was the original plan to have the garage closer to the middle or closer to that tree that's in the middle of the, and then you moved it over to the left?
Well, we really moved it. We moved it away from the large maple tree for 2 reasons. One, we care about the maple tree. We pledged to keep it. The neighbors like it. The Daniels like it. So we want to stay away from the roots of the tree. And 2, we moved it and backed it east actually, because as we move it closer to the house, we need to keep access to the garage and the house. So it becomes, you can't push 2 buildings together so easily without adjusting them. And
Right,
you can see that in the site plan.
And so by moving that the way you did, obviously that opened up the view for some of the neighbors.
It's better, it improves it, yes.
Okay. All right, and then I saw you had a river view, which was nice.
This is this is a view for what would really be a boating party that decides to venture pretty close to shore. Like, this is really only 100 yards offshore. The water is pretty shallow there. It's not an impact to the main shipping lane or to people across the river. And I think we included one more from the middle of the river.
You did.
And we rendered the proposed buildings appropriately. I'll call it brown. They kind of disappear. I mean, they disappear in the winter because we're also fond of brown in the wintertime. And in the summertime, there are actually plenty of trees that hide a lot of that hillside.
Okay. Well, you've answered the questions I needed to have answered, and that was really the numbers and
Thank you.
and having the concrete numbers. And I do appreciate the renderings you supplied to us. I'm going to open it up to my board members. I've talked enough. Do you guys have some questions, concerns? Jim
Yeah,
as well?
I do have a question. So there were 4 variances requested and we dropped one.
No.
Is that right? Now we're down to 3?
There
No,
was
it
a
3.
suggestion. Yeah. There was a suggestion that we might need a 4th, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
not true. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're just
Sorry,
at the 3.
Just at the 3. Okay.
And again, my question, because the numbers had changed a bit, throughout the process, was just getting concrete numbers so we know what we're
Right.
dealing with.
Yeah.
And we've got that.
I'm good.
I'm okay.
Okay. Tim, Richard, any questions, concerns?
I have one question. Am I on mute still? No.
No.
Somewhere in here, under number 3, please describe whether the requested area variance is substantial. And the second one down, you say considerations being given to the neighbor at 4 Slate Dock. What were the considerations being given to David Behrens?
Well, let's see, that could mean both neighbors, but I think we've been focused on David mostly. Let's see, section A3, orientation of the site, the history of the past shared. Let's back up. A3 was having having a garage in the front yard. I would say another logical place is to move it north of the maple tree. There's plenty of room there, but it very directly impacts his true proper view of the river, which is looking straight northwest from his deck and his first floor. Really, the view we've rendered is not a primary view for the Barrens. That picture is taken from a bathroom window on the 2nd floor, where it's a tiny window and you don't really spend any time there. Their real view is from their rear deck, and it looks not at the garage, but to the right of the maple tree, which the Daniels could choose to develop, but decided early on, like, that would be really offensive. It's right in their view. And number 2, it's further away from the house. So they prefer the cars parked close to the house.
So was that their suggestion, to move it slightly south?
No, well, that's a big move. That alternate location is 80 feet, maybe 100 feet to the north. I don't think we ever decided it was a reasonable enough or smart enough idea to even put it on a plan or render it. So we made that decision early.
It actually looks like it's covering the Costco oil tanks across the river from their main, and
So that's a plus.
No charge for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did meet with the Barrens and walked them through the plans and sort of told them why we had picked where we had picked versus others. And while they still had concerns about their 2nd floor, they were in agreement that between those 2 sites, that's the better site. They just necessarily weren't going to accept that, they loved it and would, happily agree. But, it just didn't make sense to do that. And then as we've planned and we've changed the size a little bit, we've been able to move it over and back to hopefully have a compromise where either we're both happy or we're both unhappy a little bit.
That's a good settlement.
Note the idea, the Barrens would be most happy if there were no accessory structure at all. But I would note they have an accessory structure themselves in the front yard. It's a storage unit halfway up their driveway. And to our south, Henry Behrens has a 2-car garage in his front yard close to the road. So it's not uncommon. And I feel like while we are in the Rhinecliff Overlay District, we're not really in the hamlet. We're 8 properties north of the hamlet. And it is more suitable and reasonable. So I feel like the restriction would be much more severe if we were in the hamlet.
A quick question. There was a reference made to the existing structure and the new principal residence, and the new principal residence being actually reduced in height. Is that accurate? And if so, how much? Is it significant? Do you have an idea of what it is?
I didn't calculate it. Based on the renderings, we think it's a couple feet. So
Okay.
I'll add those numbers to the plan I send back to you and the planning board.
Helpful to know, and also, you know, as far as the application goes in the public hearing, you know, having if the Barons want to be involved, you know, they're going to be notified of this situation, but having their input is always helpful too, since they're the ones who are most affected. All right. Any other questions, concerns,
Well,
comments? Richard?
no, I'm fine. Thank you.
You sure? Okay. All right. Jim, are you secure with the numbers? I mean, I'm comfortable with the numbers. The representations have been made, and
Based on the discussion and the paperwork, yes, I think we're good. We'll make sure to translate that over to the planning board so everyone's on the same page.
right. And obviously the application to us will be amended to, you know, put in those numbers. So we know exactly what we're dealing with. And you have a little bit of time to do that. So I'll make a motion that we accept the application subject to the amendment to the numbers that we spoke about. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I think that was Tim Allenbrook.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? No abstentions. Okay, for the record, all 5 board members were in the affirmative on that. Okay, so we've accepted the application. We're going to need some more information, and the more information you can provide us, the better. If you have any questions on what your timeframes are, talk to Gretchen about when you have to have that done, but the sooner the better. The next public hearing is going to be on March 16th. Are you available?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And your neighbors will be advised as to what's going on here, although it sounds like you've already spoken with them, and that's great. And they'll have the opportunity to ask questions of you, and you'll present again and all that kind of stuff. So I know, Robert, you've been through this before, so it's the same thing, just for the public. So anyway, we've accepted it, so we'll see you on the 16th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we have some house
Thank you.
keeping to do on this. Let's see. Jim, it looks like the planning board has already found this to be a type 2 action under seeker under 617 5C17. Is that accurate?
Yes, they have.
Okay, so we'll adopt that. I don't think we need a motion for that, but we'll adopt their findings. And we need to do certain referrals, obviously the Rhinebeck Planning Board and the WAC. So we'll do that, Gretchen. And who would like to be assigned to this resolution? Catherine.
I haven't done one in a while.
Great. So Catherine's on it. All right. Am I missing anything, Jim?
I think that checks all the boxes I have as a planner.
Okay, good. I'm glad we got that that taken care of. Okay, so the next case is the Doherty matter. Is there anybody here for Doherty? Okay, you're muted. You're still muted.
Hey.
There you go.
All right. Sorry, it's not my PC.
How are you?
All right. How are you?
Okay. What we're doing here, I don't know if you've been through the, are you Mr. Doherty?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Doherty, welcome. What we're doing here is just looking at your application to see if it's sufficient so that we can accept it, and then a public hearing can be scheduled, which will be March 16th. So if you could just briefly tell us, I've already looked at it and it's a pretty simple application, but if you could just briefly tell us what the situation is here.
Oh, well, I had well, we bought the place and it was in dire need of renovation. So I got a building permit, and it took a couple of years because it was downstairs and upstairs. So I needed something for the front. We're going to sell. We need to, and there was no porch on the front of it. It was just a step, as you can see on one of the. So,
Yeah.
So I wanted to go with the easiest way to rectify the situation, and I decided on a pergola. And so I don't know if I was misinformed by a contractor friend of mine that if you put up a pergola, you won't need any kind of variance or anything like that because it's not attached to the house. But we came to find out that we actually did, need it because it's 100 feet from the road. My house, 100 feet.
Yeah, the requirement is 100 feet.
Right. Yeah,
And you need a variance of 63 feet because the pergola is going to be, 37 feet from the roadway. The house itself, as I understand it, is about 50 feet from the roadway.
52, I think.
Okay. When was the pergola put up?
When this fall.
Okay. And who put it up for you?
My wife and I put it together. It's a plan from
Okay.
Simpson Strong Tie, the outdoor accents, and they.
Right. Was there, and I know this may sound like a bizarre question, but I just was looking at some of the pictures and things like that. Was there? I guess they're still there. It looks like there were two big trees in front. They're still there. They were not removed in order to put that in place.
No. They're quite a ways away. Don't even talk.
Okay. All right, and the bottom line is you want to sell, and as a result of the process of selling the house, you found out that you had an outstanding violation, and that needs to be cleaned up in order for the sale to go forward.
I think so. Yeah. I was informed that if I were to talk to the buyer, that they could take over it, but I don't want to leave that, to someone else. It was my screw up, so I figured I'd take care of it.
Okay. I did note that I know the house is under contract of sale and you want a closing date of sometime in February, but our process is actually reasonably quick, but it's not that quick.
Right, yeah, okay.
So the process, the way it works is we accept the application tonight, and I think we can, but I'll let my board members speak to that. That's my gut reaction. Then there's a public hearing, which would be scheduled for March 16th. And then after that, we have 62 days to do a resolution, but we do it by the next meeting. So reasonably, you could have a resolution on this by the middle of April is kind of the time frame. That's standard. That's the standard operating procedure, and believe it or not, that's reasonably quick. So I just wanted to let you know what the process was and what the timeframes were and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Okay. I've spoken enough. My board members, you guys have any questions, concerns, comments?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but are there any renderings or distances or sizes or?
There's photographs that are attached.
It's in the ground.
Yeah, it exists.
Right, yeah. And then there's the plan for it that I bought from
Right.
Simpson.
Do we have a rendering of that or?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but it's actually in existence.
12 by 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had 12-foot lumber, so I just added.
Yeah.
I didn't cut them.
Oh, it's 12 by 12. Okay. got
Yes,
it. Yeah, yeah,
correct.
instead of 10 by 12. Got it.
Yeah, I had all 12 number.
And you were saying this doesn't attach to the house?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's no roof.
Yeah.
But there's a concrete slab.
Yes,
So does the measurements for the variance, does that go from the concrete? From?
yes, right. I'm measuring the concrete. It's right to the.
Yeah, the concrete would be the closest to the roadway, it looks like.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, that's where I measured from.
okay.
All right. Any other questions or concerns? Comments?
Yeah.
All right, this
Beth, this
is
is not,
what's
I
that?
was just gonna say, this has not gone to the planning board and wouldn't, so it has not been classified by seeker.
Right, yeah, we can do that. I'll take care of that, and maybe after
Okay.
the motion I'm about to make.
Sorry.
It's a pretty simple application. Not hearing any other comments, concerns, or questions, I'll make a motion that we accept the application. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, that's Richard. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, for the record, all 5 members have voted in the affirmative. So we've accepted, Mr. Doherty, we've accepted the application. You'll be on the meeting for March 16th. At that point in time, your neighbors are going to be notified of this application for the variance. They'll have a chance to attend this meeting if they like and ask you questions. We'll ask you to kind of just go through the same procedure here, just explaining briefly what you need, what you want, and why. And then after that, assuming we close the public hearing, we'll have 62 days. But we always have a resolution by the next meeting date, and that's probably the way this thing is going to go. So anyway, can you make it on the 16th? I should have asked you that. Okay, so we'll see you on the 16th, maybe live, but maybe virtually, and same procedure. So thank you very much for attending tonight.
Thank you.
All right, so Jim, as you suggested, there hasn't been a determination under seeker, and the suggestion is it is a type 2 action, and you said it's under 617 5C17, and I'll accept that. So I will make a motion that we deem the matter to be a type 2 action under seeker, section 617 5C17. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right.
Scott, can
And
we
we
just,
have,
sorry,
what's
just change that to C11 from C17. I apologize.
okay. I used to have a cheat sheet with all the sections.
I have it in front of me, and you said 17. It didn't sound right. So yes, it's
Yes.
C11. Same
you-
reference, just a different subsection.
This is off topic. Can you send me your cheat sheet? Because I used to have one. I don't know what the heck I did with it. So
I can
I'd
absolutely
like
do
to
that.
have it. All right.
Apologize.
Okay, and referrals to the planning board, obviously, and the CAB. So Gretchen, we need to get the referrals out. And would anybody like to undertake this application?
I'll take
Tim
it.
Allenbrook raised his hand first. Unless you really want it, Richard.
Well, I haven't done one, and it seems
Oh,
pretty
okay.
simple, and Catherine said she would help me with it, so but who's ever, if Tim
Well-
wants it, he can take.
No, I think for all the reasons you've stated that this is a perfect one to get your feet wet on.
That's
So,
what I was
Richard-
thinking.
That's what I was saying.
That's what you were thinking. Well, you're a grizzled old veteran, Tim, so you get a harder one. So
Okay.
Richard, you'll take this one?
Yes, thank you.
Great. All right, awesome. All right, so takes care of that. Anything else,
Sorry,
Jim?
Tim.
I'm all set.
All righty. Next one we have is, and I apologize in advance if I mispronounce the name. Is it Tataconda?
It's Tataconda.
Tataconda.
Yes.
All right, let me put a C there. That'll help me. I'll do the phonetic. Great.
And my name's Wendy Wisbren. I'm the architect for Rebecca and Madhu Tataconda, so I'm here representing them.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very well. I don't think we've ever been before this board. So again,
No.
welcome.
Thank you.
By the way, the materials are quite nice and we appreciate that. We don't always have that luxury, so thank you. Again, all we ask is that you kind of basically, I've already looked at it, but if you could just explain what you want to do, and Jim, be ready to put up the renderings and site plan and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. So the Tatacondas have a 38 plus acre property, and there's an existing residence and 2 sheds, and we're proposing to add a pool house, a detached garage, and to put a roof onto an existing utility pad. That's right. So the first variance is that the utility shed will be closer to the fronting road than the house. But the setback is actually, I can't read that number because my eyes are not that good, but I think it's 2,340 feet from the road. And the shed is going to be 38 feet closer, and it's completely invisible. There we go. So yes, 2,340 is the setback to the house, and then the shed will be 38 feet closer to the road.
Right.
So obviously quite a distance away. It's completely invisible to the road. And the only reason that the utility shed is going to be located there is because we're just adding a roof onto an existing utility pad, which already has a generator and the condensers. And so obviously the simplest thing is just to roof it in that location and not move it back.
Right. Yep.
And there's a photo of it now in its existing state. And they just decided they wanted it to be slightly better protected and not to see into it from their upstairs, which is why we're adding the roof and
Do you
changing
have
it.
Yeah, I saw that there were some rudimentary kind of showings of the roof and all that kind of stuff. Do you have a rendering of what it's actually going to look like?
The last page of that is just the little elevations.
Yeah.
So it's just super simple kind of timber structure with some slatting on some sides.
Can you provide us with something that shows, color and that kind of stuff, and maybe
Sure.
superimpose it upon what is actually there, just to give us a better idea? Kind of like the pool house, which was, was great, and really showed it beautifully.
So the walls that go around this pad are going to remain the same. The only thing you're adding is the roof?
No, actually, there's going to be a door added. If you look at the drawing number 3, proposed front
Okay.
elevation, there's going to
Yeah.
be a full door there with full walls on some sides. There has to be some amount of opening, air opening.
Okay,
So it's a blend. It's a blend of both,
okay.
open and closed. Yeah.
So if we could get something closer to, like, for example, what the pool house looks like, to show what this
Sure.
will look like, that'd be great.
Okay.
And the other thing, before I forget it, which I will if I don't say it now, also a rendering of the garage. I know we're going to be placing it,
Mhm.
but a rendering of what the garage is going to look like as well, because part of our test, as you know, is we have to see if it fits into the character of the neighborhood and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
So we need
No
to do
problem.
that.
Okay.
Okay, and so if you could I apologize for interrupting.
No, that's okay. The second variance was for area of accessory structures, and the maximum allowed is 1,500 square feet, and we will be exceeding that. The proposed area is 4,660 square feet, I believe, total for the accessory structures. But because the site is so large, we're still less than 1% building coverage. So we feel like it's not a substantial ask.
Is the pool actually there?
The pool is there, yes.
Okay.
There's a photo if you go to the.
I thought it looked real. It didn't look like a
It's
regular.
real.
It looked
Yes.
real.
I'm not that good.
Okay.
There it is. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Wendy, do you want to explain just where kind of the building will sit as we did in the pre-con meeting earlier? Just 'cause I
Sure.
think it helps with the perspective.
No problem. So if you see that there's a pair of double gates sort of in the center of the photograph, that is the back edge of the pool fence as it exists now. That will be the front facade of the pool house. So the stone bench that you see and the cladded area just to the right of that, that's the actual pool equipment that's housed right now, just on a pad. So that'll be completely relocated actually underneath the pool house. So those things will go away and there will just be landscaping in front of the pool house, between the pool and the pool house.
Okay.
So are those trees coming down?
No, there are a few trees coming down for sure. But as you can see, the site is very well treed. Most of the trees on the pool side, I think none of the trees on the pool side are being removed. And then on the back, there are a number of trees that are being removed. I think we're at 10. Right now, the landscape architect is working on a formal site plan for the submission to the planning board. And so we'll be able to nail down that number exactly after she's done working through the grading exercise.
Now your measurements, are they from the pool house or are they from, it looks like you have a concrete or some
Yes,
type of
there's like,
stone?
it's like a plinth that's around it. So that's where I've said the exterior of the building is that's the furthest extent. So it's that white thing.
Yeah, okay.
And there's actually a little bit of building behind it. So that also is included in the numbers.
And I know I mentioned, do you have anything about the garage? What it's, and I kind of know where it's going to be. Is that right?
I only have the elevations there, which are,
Okay.
I think, further down in the document.
Yeah. And it's going to be around by the, where that stone wall area is.
That's right. So the existing stone wall, which you can see in that plan there on the right-hand side, but there's also the photo, which is probably easier to see, which is.
Yep.
Sorry. Jumping around
Yeah.
a little, sorry.
No, that's okay. So there it is. So that's the stone wall. This is a really distorted photograph, as you can see on the left. So the height of the wall is quite accurate on the right-hand side, like by where that green truck is. So it's an existing pad. We're gonna build within that wall. So we're not disturbing the wall or the grade behind it. It's just gonna be slotted in to that stone wall area.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry, Catherine, you go.
So I just wanted to make sure I understood. You're going to be modifying the one structure with a roof, and then you're building a 3-car garage, and then a separate structure. The third structure is the pool house.
That's right. And there's 2 existing sheds on the property already.
Okay.
And there was a question in the pre-planning conference. The site plan does show that there's a treehouse and another little deck structure, but those we've confirmed have both been removed, so they don't exist. So I can pull them off of this topo map.
So will that change the numbers then for the total?
It doesn't. No, I hadn't accounted those. The deck wouldn't be one, but the treehouse, I didn't even know it was there. Honestly, it was Eagle Eyes on your board who spotted it.
Okay.
It was an issue of the number of roof structures on the property, which would have been a planning board issue, not a ZBA issue.
Okay. And the square footage of both the garage and the house are in all this material.
That's right, yes.
Okay.
All right, and I just looking at the 3-car garage on the outside of it is that's the stone wall.
That's right, that's the stone
Okay.
wall there. I mean, technically, it is really a 4-car garage because it's two
Yes.
18
Right.
foot windows.
Yeah.
But it's quite low. I mean, it's not meant to be anything. There's some on the right hand, like the back side of the garage, there's some trees that have some pretty low limbs. So we were trying to keep the roof as low as possible at that side.
Okay. All right, well, for the public hearing, if we could have, well, before that, have the renderings on that, that'd be great.
Sure, no problem.
Scott
Yeah,
or Jim, is there when you're going for variances and permits and this and that, is there a difference in going for a pool house or a guest house?
I don't think there's any difference. It's just an accessory structure.
Okay, because I mean, to me, it's I've just never seen or seen a pool house to this extent. It looks like there's a couple of bathrooms and a couple of bedrooms, and I just wasn't sure.
Well, if you hang around on this board for a while, you'll see other ones that are just
Okay, good.
extraordinary, like this one.
We actually
Great.
are going for with the planning board, a special use permit for a secondary residence. I can't remember what exactly it's called, but so we have admitted that this does look and smell like a house and actually is one. So
You've confessed.
yes, we've confessed before we were caught out.
But yes, but it is a pool house.
Oh, yes, it's definitely a pool house. It's just grown in scope quite a bit since the beginning of its design process.
Richard, it qualifies as an accessory dwelling. The definition was recently changed because there've been a lot of structures proposed in town that people were saying, well, it's an office, it's not a bedroom, even though it has a closet and a full kitchen and things like that. So the definition changed, and the planning board has been working diligently to make sure that if it looks like an accessory dwelling, we permit it that way, so there never is a question about it in the future. Doesn't make a big difference. It's a technical issue. And there are a couple different accessory dwelling type uses out there, but in the end, they're all accessory dwellings or a non-dwelling accessory structure. They're really the two categories.
Thanks for the explanation.
This did bring up a separate question though, which I forgot to ask. Does this require a new septic and well?
It doesn't require a new well, but it does require a new septic, and we're in process with getting the BOH approval for a dedicated septic system for this building.
So you'll be using the water from the well that supplies the house?
That's right. I think there's actually 2 wells on site.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're marked on the map? On the survey?
They should be.
Okay.
I will verify. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll verify that, but
And
one of the
site
wells is actually ending up underneath our pool house. So that well may need to go away depending on, it has to do with where our septic system ends up being located. So long story short.
So
But I will note the well.
The new septic system isn't set forth on the site plan.
It's not, because there's 2 possible locations based on
Okay.
requirements. This is like, there's tons of rock very, very close to ground all over the site. And depending on, because the well is located so close to our building, we can only have this septic eject on the east side. And if we have it eject on the west side, then we have to cap our well because we're going to be too close. So they're investigating both locations to see which is most viable.
The only other thing I was thinking of, at some point in time, we're going to obviously do a site inspection. So we're going to need to have the pool house staked out. We obviously know where the utility structure is. And also, even though we know generally that the garage is going to fit inside the footprint of the wall, just kind of staking out the exact perimeter of the,
Okay.
It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, just to give us idea, like how far out is it going to come from the from the wall, its general size. And again, the same thing with the pool house.
Okay, when would that be in the process? Just so I can make sure it's done in time?
Yeah, what I like to do is I like to do it after the public hearing.
Okay,
So I can hear what the public has to say, if there is any public, and have that in my mind when I go out and do the site inspection. So I typically do it after the, and I would probably go out after, March 16th.
okay,
So
that's no
there's
problem.
time. It's not, and it'll be easier. The snow will be gone, whatever's left and all that.
Yes.
So,
We have a contractor already, so he's around and able to assist.
okay.
So are we determining that this is an accessory structure or dwelling?
It's an accessory dwelling.
It's
being
an
classified
accessory
that.
dwelling. Is that how we have it down in the application?
My understanding is that the dwelling aspect is only relevant to the planning portion of the approvals, and that it was just the area of the accessory structures total here that mattered to the zoning board. So I didn't indicate that it was a accessory dwelling here. I just said accessory structure, but I could certainly modify that if it's relevant.
Yeah, it's always good to modify it, just to give us more information. Well, a lot of times we like to have nearly the same information that the planning board has. Because we have the 5-factor issue again that I mentioned, and that can enter into, does it fit in with the neighborhood? No, I know we're talking about a 38 acre parcel, but in other matters, it can factor in.
Okay, no problem.
And this 4660 square feet is all of the accessory structures, right?
That's correct. Yes, all of them together.
Everything
On
that's
this,
in the past, it's been very helpful to us. And maybe you already did it. I didn't have a chance to look through everything in detail. People have had a little table that says, here's the garage, here's the square footage, here's the
Yes.
pool house.
there is a table on that site plan that had the colored roof plan, like the zoomed in site plan. To the right in red, there's a little table.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, right
Yep.
there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, great.
Any other questions, concerns,
Not for me.
comments? Okay, yeah, I think we have enough certainly to accept the application. We do need the renderings, the other things that I've requested, which can obviously be supplied before the public hearing. So, subject to receiving all that, I make a motion that we accept the application. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Tim or Catherine, one of you two, seconded, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? For the record, all 5 board members have voted in the affirmative. So Wendy, we're going to have you on for the 16th of March. Is that a date that you can make?
Absolutely.
Okay. Again, we're going to need all those things. And the neighbors, such as they are, will be notified of this, and we'll go through the same process. You'll just explain briefly what's going on here. And if there's any public, they'll ask you questions and maybe have some comments, concerns, whatever. So same process.
Should I submit the material electronically and drop off the 8 copies, or do you just want it electronically?
That is a question for Gretchen. Gretchen, your preference?
Electronics, great. I would say at least one hard copy for the file. And that way, if
Okay.
anybody does want to come look at it, they can.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, great. We'll see you on the 16th.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. The next order of business on this application is to determine what it is under seeker, which it is a type 2. Again, it's Jim, you said 617 5C17.
It is 17, Scott, and actually the last
Okay.
one was as well.
Okay.
My cheat sheet failed me on the last one. So we're 17 on all of these.
We're 17 on all of these, okay.
Yes.
All right, correct that cheat sheet before you send it to
I'm
me.
going to correct it before I send it to you. Exactly.
Thank you. All right. You can
We
actually
are
send it to
17.
everybody.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
always
gonna-
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
everybody should have a copy of it. It's really very useful.
I can do that. Absolutely.
So that's awesome. All right. All right. So I make a motion that we classify this application as a type 2 action under seeker under section 617.5C17. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
All right. And all in favor? Aye.
I,
Opposed? Abstained. All right. Referrals looks like to obviously the planning board and the CAB. So Gretchen, if you could take care of that. And then we have, Tim, do you want to take this one or I can take it? Doesn't matter.
Why don't you take it?
Okay. I will take this one. All righty. So that takes care of that. And then next, we have Mr. Grominski,
Good evening, everyone.
and this is the Heinz matter.
That's correct.
All right. You're no rookie. Take us through it.
Okay, so I'm here also with Seth Stickle from my office, and we are representing Christopher and Laura Hines. They own property that abuts both, it's at the intersection of Mill Road and Morton Road. The total parcel size is 37.7 acres. Okay, thank you, Jim. And this application is a result of an application that has been that started with the planning board back in August of 2021, and we moved, and the application with the planning board was for some, landscaping changes to the property, realignment of access to the main residence. Currently, if you see on the site plan, the driveway is off of Mill Road, and then it enters and heads to the west, and then there's a loop in there, and on the right at the bottom of that loop is where the existing residence is, and then to the west of that is an existing barn. And so part of the application with the planning board was a new driveway, which is going to eliminate that shaded section that Jim's showing to Mill Road, and it's going to extend out to Morton Road.
And that's been approved, Mark?
Yes, it has. That has been approved. The majority of the site changes and landscaping improvements have been approved by the planning board. And once again, it was driveway alignment, removal and addition of some plantings, trees and shrubs on the property. And it also included, the application also included modifications to that barn located on the west side of the property. And so we'll get into, get into some details with that. And so the modifications to the barn were both internal to the barn, and also exterior. And so the Hineses have been working with the planning board, because it's a, I should note that it's a historic barn. And also, as part of the application with the planning board, we've looked at all the environmental aspects of the property. We've done archaeological investigation on sections of the property where improvements and disturbances are proposed, and also have been in touch with the neighbor to the west, which is Wilderstein. And so So just a little, and so what this application is to the zoning board of appeals is for a garage addition, which is to be where Jim's circling there, is located near the northeast corner of the existing barn. And that garage addition is a result of discussions and working through working through issues that and discussions and suggestions of the planning board, because originally the garage was being proposed on the north end of that existing barn. And so the decision was made to keep the integrity of the barn, and since there's no garage on the property, Chris and Laura have proposed this garage near the northeast corner. There's and we'll get into the the architectural drawings and renderings in a minute, but there's also a breezeway connection to that barn. And so in doing this, two things are required. Back to the planning board for a site plan amendment, because now we're adding, this garage wasn't anticipated, with the initial application. And so, amendment of the site plan for that. And Chris and Laura have also decided to do a few more landscaping changes. So that's included to a resubmission that's been made to the planning board for the site plan amendment. And then also, due to the location of the barn, it's actually, since this is a double frontage lot, it has frontage on both Mill and Morton Road. The garage is an accessory structure, so it's now closer to the, it's closer in the front yard than the principal residence. Exactly what we're going to do on our next our next application for T-Court. It's the same thing. In this case, also the plan doesn't show it, but the aggregate area of all the accessory structures, is less than the required amount, since this is an HP 20 district. Total floor area is based on acreage, 300 square feet per acre, and we are below that. So the only required area variance that we're requesting from this board is for the accessory structure, the new garage and breezeway, to be located in the front yard of the principal residence. And I'm certainly open to any questions that the board may have.
Yeah, Jim, maybe there you go. That's what I was going to ask for. Does the structure to the left look like that right now? Is that?
It does. Yeah. So there's some. So that, yes, it does. On the left, that elevation is correct, and so that's how the existing barn looks on the. It would be the east side and the south side of the barn, right? And that on that lower rendering. Obviously, everything to the right side or to the east is you can see the breezeway connection in the proposed.
The structure to the left, is there dwelling space there, living space? Is it, or is it?
Yeah. Yes, there is. So it's both. There's, on the lower level, it's just, open space for, right now, Chris and Laura are using it for, entertainment. They're also, and part of the reconstruction of that space is, they've, planned for, a gym and, some other amenities in there. So that's located on the lower level. On the second level of that wing, on the south wing, there is living space up there. There's a kitchen and there's a kitchen and a bathroom. Actually, the bathrooms are in the lower level. So these all pre-existed, prior to the Hineses purchasing the property, and all building and CO issues have been remedied with the Town of Rhinebeck Building Department.
The structure that's proposed, any dwelling space on the top there, I don't know that it can accommodate that, but I just figured I'd ask.
No dwelling space at all, just storage. That's it.
Okay.
Also some building elevations. I think we have some more renderings if we could just go through those quickly. Right, so this is, obviously looking, standing north and looking south. And so you can see the garage and breezeway on the left side of that drawing. And then on the right side, that's the existing barn. And where those small windows are, there was actually a stable that was located there. And that's one of the things that Chris and Laura have been working with the planning board and also HAPAC on, preservation of that stable area. You could slide down one more, Jim. This gives you another perspective, from the north. And so once again, you can see the garage and breezeway and the stable area. But now what's shown on the right side, which is the westerly elevation, that is a portion of that, like for example, the deck. There used to be a former deck, but now what's being shown is reconstruction of that deck, and then a doorway and some windows located on that west elevation of the barn. And so the deck has been approved, and there's been modifications to that west elevation with the windows that are still being discussed and developed with the planning board, and part of the amended site plan application. And now this gives you a full picture of what the west elevation looks like. The only thing, once again, the difference is the doors that will open up to the deck on both sides, and then a window in between. The wing on the right-hand side, that remains the same. Just another rendering of the garage. And here are some, architectural elevations. Once again, very similar to what we were just looking at with the renderings for that top one. That's that's that west elevation. Same here. The barn and the stable remain. They basically remain the same. Actually, that one elevation where Jim's sketching on right now, you can see there's some skylights that have been added in the roof, just to bring some light into the structure, into the barn structure itself. I think that's it for our drawings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, again, nice application as usual. I don't have any questions, but I leave it to my board members as to any questions, concerns, comments.
Yeah, one question. So the deck on the back, you said that was all approved going across?
Yeah, the deck, so prior to our application, there was a deck on the back. It's been, the deck that's being proposed is approximately, I think it's actually maybe 2 feet wider to the west side, but yes, it is. That was part of the initial application, and the deck has been approved by the planning board.
The other thing, this became the front of the house because the change of the driveway. How you entered?
No. So the house is located to the east of the structure. So what's your question? Could you?
Well, you said the
your
planning
question.
board told you to not to come off Mill Road with your driveway?
No, it was Chris and Laura Hines' decision to
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought
change.
that was the
Yeah,
planning board. So you changed it. So now that becomes the
that-
barn or the structure you're building now becomes the front.
Well, actually, even though that we're going to change access and that shaded section is going to be eliminated,
Right.
it's still a double frontage lot. So even if we,
Oh,
the fact
It's
that
corner.
it's the fact that we're even in the driveway doesn't affect it. It's the fact that you still have a double frontage lot, so you need to adhere to the requirements of the zoning code. Is that am I correct in that, Jim?
Yeah, it's a corner lot, so it has 2 front yards.
Right.
Yep.
okay.
Any other questions, concerns, comments on the application?
Not for me.
Okay. All right. Again, a nice job on the application as usual, Mark.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd make a motion that we accept the application. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, that's Catherine. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, for the record, all 5 members have voted in the affirmative. So Mark, we'll see you here on March 16th. Is that a date you can make?
Actually, Scott, I'm going to be out of town, but Seth will be
Okay,
will present in my absence.
great. Okay, so we'll see you then.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, is the at some point in time, again, as usual, we'll need the staking and all that kind of stuff just to give us an idea of
Yes.
where the thing's going to be. I mean,
Yeah,
we have an
actually-
idea, but
The barn is actually, or the garage is actually staked right now.
okay,
All right.
great.
All right. Thank you.
All right, again, let's see, the usual housekeeping, we have to classify this under seeker. Jim, you said your recommendation is, what's a type 2, but 617.5C, 17.
Yeah, and so this one was determined as a type 2 by the planning board previously.
okay.
They did have accepted that application. They're not coming in for an amended site plan, so I'm not sure how you want to handle that, Scott.
Then
It has
I'll
been
just,
previously
I'll accept the
classified,
recommendation of the planning board.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
the previous one. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to change it any. I mean, I know they're making some minor changes here and there, according to Mark. So it's not going to change the nature of it. It's still going to be a type 2 under the same section.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll just we'll adopt the planning board's categorization of it under seeker, and then we have referrals, Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board, and then the CAB. And then we're not going to do the Hudson River National Historic Landmark District, right?
That was HAPAC, and no, we're not going to do that.
Okay, so we'll take that out.
Yep. So just CAB, WAC, and the planning board.
All right. Mr. Allenbrook, do you think you're up for this one?
My memory is pretty sluggish. I like the simple ones.
Okay. Tim,
As an econopoly? No, I've got one going now that,
you go. Okay.
yeah.
Do we
You
have
don't
any other
mind.
takers? All right. Well, what the heck? I'll take it.
I can do another one.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks, Catherine.
sure.
You people are all retired. I'm not. So,
I know.
except for Richard.
We'll
And
give you
Tim.
some lessons
Tim.
when you get ready.
I'm waiting for lessons. I want to learn.
You'd be surprised how these weeks can just fly by.
Yes, I've heard that, and how you can't believe that you actually had time to work, given how active you are in retirement. I've heard it all.
It's an
Anyway.
old story.
Yes, it makes me more jealous by the second. Okay, and Mark, I think you're up on the public hearing. This is T Court. So I know you did a very exhaustive and thorough review of the application. We don't need that tonight, I don't think. Is there anybody here from the public who's interested in this application? Okay.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. So I'd ask for more in-depth if there was, but since there isn't, just give us the Cliff Note version of the
Okay.
application.
Mark Rominsky here representing T Court LLC. This is two area variance applications are being requested from the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals. And one is a height variance for an accessory structure. And that accessory structure is actually a treehouse. And so I won't go into the detail again of how we've, I worked with Michael Trimble, the zoning administrator, on classifying this as an accessory structure. And so the only variance required from this board is for its height. And then secondly, area variance applications being requested are exactly as I just presented on my previous project for the accessory structures which are being proposed on the T Court LLC property, which are in the front yard of the principal residence. And so those accessory structures, and I have them on those three rectangular boxes, starting on the lower left, there's an addition that is being proposed to the guest house, and there's an attached mudroom and 3-bay garage. So that's being proposed on the lower left rectangle. Upper right rectangle are structures that are associated with the train, miniature train application that's being, and actually we had an initial meeting with the planning board regarding the initial train. Layout of the train alignment and track only, not the structures yet. But so this application to the ZBA is for those structures. And then finally, the structures, the final structure is there's a for service garage that's to be located. That's that lower right rectangle. There's an existing service garage, and now we're proposing a new service garage with some storage space. And so that is the those are the structures that are being we're asking this board to consider for area variance for them since they are located in the front yard of the principal residence.
Now, I know we haven't done a site inspection, and I know we want to do one. I talked to Jim about the potential. We're going to try to get one together potentially with the planning board.
Okay.
So we'll try to make it as painless as possible. It may have to be two separate visits, but we'll try to keep it to one if we can.
Okay.
I don't have any questions, but I leave it to my board members if they have any questions, concerns, comments.
Yeah, I thought there were some questions about the treehouse and the walkway, how that was going to be finished.
It's so that the plan shows that there'll be a walkway, walkway from grade to the existing the treehouse sits on a platform.
Yeah.
And so there'll be a new walkway that and it's shown in those lower elevations. Those right to existing grade.
Okay, so that height is what a grade where you'll come out to grade.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And
Mark,
then there was, go ahead.
This angled line is the grade, right, Mark? Sorry
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the grade right here, Tim.
Okay, how long is that?
I think we determined it's in proximity of 30 to 35 feet long.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I remember.
and then there was a question.
Just to add to it also, currently there's just a set of stairs that goes down from the front porch. Goes down and then you have to walk upstairs again to get back to the grade the house is at. Yeah, you can see it in that photo.
Yeah.
And then there was a question about the size of these trains. Then we had a picture that it looked awful big than what it was actually going to be.
Yes, it was just in the illustration.
Yeah, it was in the illustration, and we've actually corrected that. And those images will be submitted again. It's just that the renderers weren't able to get it done in the 2-week time before.
Okay.
And just to refresh my memory, Mark, there's no setback issues with any of these 3 buildings. It's just they all 3 need a variance for being in front of the principal residence.
That's correct. So,
okay.
And just to note that, especially with the service garage, because the existing garage, and so I had a very specific discussion with Michael Trimble about this, because of the location and the setback for the existing service garage, which is less than, the required setback, that governs. And so the new service garage is no closer, and those are actually front yards there.
Yeah, this is actually a flag lot, and this section where the building is going is part of the pole with the flag.
Part of the flag lot. It's an odd configuration. So I had a specific discussion with Michael Trimble about that. So no setback area variances are required, since the existing structure is closer to those property lines than the structure that we're proposing.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's not the first time I've had that decision rendered. I also have done something in the town of Milan. It was the same. It was the same outcome. If there's an existing structure, at a certain distance, then as long as your proposed structure isn't any closer to that property line, no area variance is required.
So is the existing structure going to stay there, or it's coming down and being replaced by the other one?
No, it will remain.
Okay. Huh, that's a very interesting interpretation, but fine, if that's what it is.
Some of I would say the unusualness of the orientation of these buildings to each other is because the existing structure has a number of utilities that are in the area between the 2 structures, and we'd rather not rebuild those utilities by orientating this building closer to that other garage. So we had to pull it further away and twist it a little bit to fit in the proper sort of entry to it.
So did we just reduce it down to 2? Is that what we're saying?
No, it's always been 2 variances, Tim, because
I thought you said 3.
No, it was just the height variance.
Okay.
Only for the treehouse, and then variance for accessory structures in the front yard for the remaining accessory structures on the property.
But so on the second one, on the closer to the front of the property than the main residence, is that 1 variance with 3 notations in it, or is it 3 variances that they're all closer to the road?
I guess I looked to this board and its consultant on how to. Obviously we show all those. Or the request is for all those structures, whether they're individual or composite. I just look for guidance from the consultant and this board.
Jim, do you have any I mean,
I haven't been doing this with you guys very long, so I would defer to whatever you've done in the past, as long as it's absolutely clear what we're doing. I think, it's okay. The variances being requested are the same. It's just a question, do you do one for all the structures, or do you want to do one individual, I guess, for each structure being requested?
Yeah, it's just a matter of form over substance. I think it can be done either way. I haven't seen a similar situation, or at least I can't recall one, but
yeah,
I don't think it makes a hill of beans difference.
as long as
So-
we list each of the buildings somehow.
Correct, as long as we list it and make it very clear that there are 3 buildings and we're giving the variance to each of these buildings. So, Tim, you're the one who's going to be putting this together. I leave it to you. If you want to break it up into 3, that's fine.
No, that's okay. But now I'm confused again. We just said 3 buildings. I thought we were down to the height of the tree house and the
it's-
other building.
It's 2 variances, Tim. So
Yeah.
one variance, so the tree house, we don't need, the only variance we need for the tree house is a height variance.
Height, correct.
Because it exceeds 20 feet in height. Then I'll go through the accessory structures. So the first accessory structure is the addition of the garage and the mudroom to the guest.
Right.
So there's accessory structure number 1. And then the train buildings, there are 2 structures there. It's a roundhouse car barn. I'm combining those into one structure. Yep. There's the station house, right? So now we have 3. And then the 4th accessory structure is the new service garage.
Right.
Well, service garage and storage bins, those are combined.
Which doesn't need a variance, we're saying.
Yes, it does. It does. It needs
I
the
thought
variance.
Michael Treble said you didn't need it.
No, you don't need a setback variance, but you need the area variance for
Area
it.
variance. Okay.
Yeah, for it being in the front yard of the principal residence.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to make it crystal clear, you can break down each individual building and give each building a separate same variance. It's in front of the principal structure. That's
Tim,
it.
I'm happy to summarize and send something to you if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember anything exactly like this, not surprisingly.
No, I know this property. It's been before us over the years, but different owners, different issues. Anyway. Any other questions or concerns? Okay. Not hearing any, I'm going to make a motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, for the record, all the board members have signaled in the affirmative. And as you know, Mark, we have 62 days to get a resolution out there. We usually do it by the next meeting. I guess we'll have to see. We have to do the site visit. That's the one thing.
Okay.
So that we may, and again, I don't know if because of circumstances, we have to go beyond the next meeting. Is that a problem or not? And if we do, I don't know if we get past the 62 days, and that usually we ask folks to, hey, can you give us the extra day or 2 or whatever, so we're not past the 62.
So Scott, I think we can work with you on that. I mean,
okay.
Again, we have multiple applications for both the train and also the accessory the other accessory structures with the planning board. So those are spread out over the next couple months. So yeah, whatever works for your board, I'm sure.
I just want to make sure, if there's something that's time sensitive and you really need to have this resolution by the next meeting, we'll do what we can do. But if it's not, then we can take our time and get out there and see and what have you. And, okay.
Absolutely, Scott, because we still need planning board approval.
Right. And I think, again, the only other thing I'd ask is that in the event, and I haven't counted the days, Sometimes we run into this that just because of the calendar, April, whatever it is 64 days out instead of 62. Do you have any quarrel extending the couple of days?
Not at all. And if you want, and I can supply something in writing if you need.
Your word is your bond, and that's fine.
Great. Thank you, Scott.
Been doing this a while.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to going out there. It's always a neat property to look at, and it's been a couple of years. So hopefully, Jim, you're going to take care of coordinating that, I hope.
Yeah, Mark, you and I can work on coordinating. I think we're going to try and get the entire ZBA out there, and if we can coordinate it with the planning board, so you guys can all be there at once, and we can try and wrap a couple of these up, we will. If it doesn't make sense, we won't. We need to get this done, obviously. So
Yeah.
I'll catch up with you and the ZBA members, and we'll work on scheduling it.
Great.
Just so
Thank-
you know,
thank
Jim, just so you know, Jim, Saturday is probably the better day for me, Saturday or Sunday. During the week doesn't work.
Okay.
And not that I'm going to beat a dead horse, but like I have a real job, trying to be like a trial lawyer kind of thing.
I do too.
So, the weekend works better for me too.
But we'll certainly accommodate that.
All right, great. I look forward to it. It'll be fun. All right, well, thank you, everybody. It was a great application, and I look forward to seeing it out there. So have a good evening.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thanks-
much.
Thank you. Jim. Yep. Good night.
All right, and the last thing we have is resolution, I believe. Let me just get this out of here. All right, and the last thing, did everybody get a copy? And I apologize, I've been running, and I just was able to get the resolution done, and then I had Kim go over it and make some edits, and so this is the final version. But I did the resolution for the Maitland matter.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a refresher recollection. It's a proposal for a in-ground pool, basically on River Road, at the corner of River Road and Upper Hook Road. There's the house, and it's in the back there. So anyway, here goes. The resolution of the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals in the matter of the area variance application of Wendy Matlin, ZBA case number, 1023. The background, the applicant is Wendy Matlin, who is the owner of the property, but she was represented by the Neve Group and Chris Schmidt in particular. The property involved, this appeal involves property located at 636 River Road, Rhinebeck, New York. It bears a tax parcel number, which is set forth. The applicant's property is approximately 2.2 acres and is in the RA10 zoning district. The description of the proposed project, the applicant wishes to install an 18 by 36 foot concrete in-ground pool, and also wishes to install the required fencing to be code compliant. This is depicted in the submitted site plan, and the pool is setback. Setback is 23 feet 11 inches. The zoning law requires a minimum side yard setback of 75 feet for accessory structures in the RA10 zoning district pursuant to 125-27A25. And accordingly, the applicant requires one side yard setback variance. And that's what this is. Variance 1, a side yard setback of 75 feet is required, 23 feet 11 inches is proposed, and the variance requested is 54 feet 1 inch. The pool is proposed to be situated behind an existing garage and patio and behind an existing house. It is in front of an existing septic field. It is east of a rock outcropping, which is actually fairly substantial, on the west side of the property facing River Road. After site inspection, it is clear that the proposed placement of the pool is the only area the pool can be placed on the property. ZBA review, timeliness of the appeal. The applicant filed an appeal with this board on November 29th of 2021 and has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of the ZEO's determination letter, which was October 12th. Thus, the application is timely as required pursuant to 125-125B of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. The application was accepted by this board on December 15th and deemed complete. The seeker determination. The application was determined to be a type 2 action pursuant to 617 5C16, and accordingly, no further environmental review is required. Referrals and responses. The application was referred to the Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board following the ZBA's acceptance of the application as complete. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board responded on January 4th, stating that they saw no significant planning or environmental concerns. The application was also referred to the WAC as the property is located in the LWRA. The WAC have not provided a response. In addition, the application was referred to the HAPAC since the property is in the Hudson River National Historic Landmark District. They have also not provided a response. Although no response was received by either of these agencies, they were provided the 30 days which are required. And having not received a response after 30 days, the ZBA is able to issue its determination without the need of those responses. Public hearing. Public hearing on this application was advertised and held on January 19th of 2022. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the public hearing was held virtually pursuant to New York state legislation S 50,001/A 40,001, which suspended certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow a municipal board to convene meetings during the current pandemic via video conferencing and or telephone conferencing. The public was thus afforded the opportunity to view and participate during the public hearing remotely. There were no comments received from the public on this application. That was my recollection. If somebody has another, but I didn't recall anybody
No.
saying anything.
No.
Accordingly, the public hearing was closed on January 19th, 2022. Site visit on February 14th. And if anybody else went out there, let me know. But on February 14th, Scott Bergen visited the applicant's property and surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand on-site conditions, property characteristics, settings, surrounding environment, and the character of the neighborhood. Pursuant to the board's prior request, the applicant had staked the outline of the pool as well as the pool fence. After a site inspection, it was readily apparent that the only reasonable location for the pool and fence was where the applicant proposed on a site plan. The pool is behind an existing garage and an existing residence. These existing structures provide a visual buffer for and from neighbors. Also, there is a rock outcropping on the west side of the property, which prevents the pool and fencing from being seen from River Road. Finally, there was vegetation along the eastern border. I lost my, let's hold on a second. I had a delivery of hot chocolate, so I got this distracted. Anyway, finally, there was vegetation along the eastern border of the applicant's property and property of the adjacent homeowner. The adjacent property owner has structures that are quite a distance from the property line between the two parcels. In fact, actually, it's actually on the other side of the, as far as it can be from where the applicant's property is. Given the distance of the two structures of the adjoining property owner, as well as the vegetation running along the property line between the two properties, it was apparent that any visual issues would be mitigated by the existing conditions. Based upon these factors, as well as the location of the existing septic field, that was another thing that played in here. It is apparent that the only reasonable site for the proposed pool is where the applicant proposes the pool to be placed pursuant to the site plan. Findings of fact and conclusions of law. Balancing test. In our review of the variance sought, we have considered the benefit to the applicant if the area variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or the community by such grant. We have determined that the variance requested should be granted because there is no perceived detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by the granting of the variance. 10, consideration of the 5 factors in balancing test. In our determination, we have considered the 5 factors required by section 125-124C1 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law as follows. A, If the variance is granted, will it cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties? We find that the answer to the question is no. As previously indicated, the pool and the fencing will be shielded from the neighbors and the public by an existing garage, residence, and rock outcropping. While the pool and fencing may be able to be seen to some degree by a neighbor to the east of the property, given the existing vegetation as well as the distance between the pool and the neighbor's residence, it does not appear that the pool and fencing will adversely affect the adjoining property owner. Again, given the topography of the lot, the location of the existing buildings and septic field, the location proposed is the only reasonable location for the pool. Based upon the rendering supplied by the applicant, we believe that the neighborhood will be enhanced by the addition of the pool. B, and for some reason, B should be pushed closer to the body of this thing, but that's not a big deal. Anyway, can the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance? We find that the answer to the question is no. As previously indicated, the only reasonable location for the pool is the location proposed by the applicant, given the existing structures and topography. Is the requested area variance substantial? And I kind of went back and forth on this section. I ultimately said yes, but it was a close call. Anyway, we find the answer to this question is yes. However, this is a close call. While numerically the variance is substantial in that 75 feet setback is required and the variance requested is 51 feet 1 inch, there is no other place to put the pool. Also, the surrounding area mitigates the potential impacts of the variance to the surrounding area and neighbors. The property itself comprises 2.2 acres and the adjoining property owner's residence is some distance from the shared property line. Given the location of the adjoining property owner's residence, as well as the existing vegetation, there should be limited visual impact on the adjoining property owner. In fact, from the overhead views supplied by the applicant, it appears that there is a row of trees between the two properties, which would provide additional visual shielding of the pool from the adjoining property owner. This would be particularly true in the summer, but also was apparent on the site visit. D, will the proposed variance have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? We find the answer to this question is no. Given the topography of the area, the pool will have a limited impact on the surrounding properties. In addition, the rendering shows a very appealing pool and fence, which will improve the appearance of the applicant's property. Is the alleged difficulty self-created? We find the answer to this question is yes. However, as noted on multiple occasions, the applicant can only place the pool where proposed. Thus, the difficulty is only self-created because the applicant wishes to construct a pool. There's no other reasonable area on the property to do so than what is currently proposed. 11, minimal variance requested. In addition to our review of the 5 factors and balancing tests, we must also determine if this requested variance is the minimum variance necessary and adequate to accomplish what is being requested by the applicant. We find that the answer to this question is yes. Again, for the umpteenth time, the placement of the pool, as stated on multiple occasions, is the only reasonable place that the pool can be placed given the existing structures and topography. Now, therefore, be it resolved based on all the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section 1. The ZBA hereby grants the variance requested, allowing a side yard setback of 23 feet 11 inches from the required 75 feet. The variance is from zoning law section 125-27A2B. The ZBA finds that the granting of this variance to the applicant outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. It is the board's finding that the pool is proposed. It is proposed to be, excuse me, in the only reasonable location on the property. It will be situated behind an existing garage and patio and behind an existing house. It is in front of an existing septic field. It is east of a rock outcropping on the west side of the property, facing the river, facing River Road. These features will mitigate any potential impact for the surrounding area and neighbors. Section 2, the granting of the variance is expressly contingent upon the construction being in conformity with the plans presented to the board. Section 3, the granting of the variance shall also be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck for any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application and in full compliance with Article 14 fee reimbursement to the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. The grant shall not be deemed valid until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. Section 4, the granting of the variance does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and or approvals. And 5, the area variance shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of the resolution. So.
Good.
If we have comment now, any questions, concerns, comments?
I have one thing.
Okay.
I think in the very beginning, you mentioned that the variance requested was 54 feet 1 inch, when I think it's actually 51 feet 1 inch.
My math could be off.
Jim, you can verify that, right?
Got a calculator? That's why I'm a lawyer.
Yep, it is on my, that's what I have on the sheet. I'm just checking with the calculator myself.
Yeah, I think so. I think it comes out, yeah. I think that's the only change I would make in.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yep.
Good catch.
Yep.
So you're paying attention and you're awake.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that, but.
Well, that's very commendable.
Thank you very much.
You get a gold star. Any other comments, concerns? To me, this was an easy one. I went out there and I was with Chris, and it's apparent that this is the only place you can put it, and it's and the way the property is and the structures and everything else, it fits really nicely, and you can't see it from River Road, you can't see it from Upper Hook Road, and I doubt you can see it even from the neighbor because there is that row of trees, and it's just. There's no other, and then you got the septic, there's just no other place to put it. And I think it looks, hopefully it looks just like the renderings. It's going to be a nice improvement to what's there now, which is really not much. I think it'll be a good addition to the neighborhood. So, but any comments, concerns, or questions of me or the resolution? All right, then. At this time, I will make a motion that we accept the resolution as read, subject to the math correction that Richard pointed out. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, that's Tim Allenbrook. Gretchen, can you do the honors?
Right. Tim A.
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Tim E.
Yes.
Catherine.
Yes.
All right, it's approved. The variance is granted. And Chris, thanks for coming out on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to meet you in person, and I appreciate the board's time and efforts on this, and look forward to coming back to you with other projects in the future.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you too on another project. Great. All right, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
You
Good night.
too.
Thank you. Right.
All right, I don't see that we have anything else on for this evening, unless I'm missing something.
Just totally unrelated. Have you guys seen this? Rock Ledge.
What is it?
Yeah, it was mailed out to everybody in Rhinebeck. I don't know.
What does it
No,
say?
never. I have never seen it. What is it?
It says, here are the facts about Rock Ledge, Rhinebeck.
Rock Ledge.
Oh, yeah, that one has my name on it if it ever comes back.
Yeah,
Well,
that's kind of. It's kind of been lost. It's unfortunate because I know we actually did the site visit on that, a million years ago.
Well,
It's
what's
called
this?
Rock Edge.
The project is ongoing.
It is
they're still
ongoing,
working.
okay.
Yep. It's
Where's
it's still an active project. Acker Hook Road.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Oh,
It's a luxury, I guess, what is it, luxury condo, as I recollect.
35 units.
the old, an old daytop property.
The old day,
Right.
yeah, the old daytop.
Yeah.
And there's magnificent buildings, beautiful buildings.
Yes, beautiful back there.
It really is. But no, I hadn't seen that. I was wondering, actually, my wife was actually asking me about that the other day because she came out on the site visit. Anyway. All right, anything else anybody needs to bring up?
Nope.
All right, well, have a great month. And hopefully,
You too.
Jim, if you can, just coordinate with us and maybe we can get out to that, T court and check that out.
I'm going to talk to Mark tomorrow. I'll catch up with them and we'll start scheduling right away.
Yeah, that'd be great if we
Good.
could get that done in the next couple of weeks, maybe, and then,
Yep.
then Tim can start, writing the resolution, maybe have
Yep.
it ready if possible.
Mhm.
All right, everybody. Well, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Do I have a second? That was awful quick.
Bye.
All right. A third. and a
Just wanted to
fourth.
get it in there.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. And,
You too.
and thanks for
Good
your
night.
time. And we'll see you soon.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Night,
Good night.
everybody.